These NBA refs are ridiculous.
Ever remember a ball boy getting a technical foul?
Joe's got to be careful because they could suspend him in the next game.
Now, Fred VanVleet was just thrown out of the game.
And it's not in a good way. Right when we thought NBA officiating couldn't get any worse. Well, it did.
Match their intensity, and Podziemski's getting tension. There's spillage on the sideline.
And with a league that is already hurting in viewership, the way these refs are handling the game is going to send the NBA on a one-way ticket to bankruptcy. Like, how does a team get a tech from the towel boy?
Is there going to a technical foul is called?
They're going to delay a game.
Yeah, but
because the ball boys came out.
This is probably one of the most bizarre scenarios among the many crazy calls refs have made. Like, you can hear Brunson saying no to the ref. It can't get any more embarrassing for the Pelicans. They've already had it rough this season alone with a 5-23 record before this game against the Knicks, and after week 9, they're sitting at 5-25 with a 7-game losing streak. There's not a lot of good luck going for this team. Even during this game, the Pelicans had the lead by 5. Ball goes out of bounds, and it's given to the Knicks to inbound. So after the play, the towel boy ran onto the floor to wipe the sweat, because that's what he's supposed to do. And JT Orr decided this was a delay of game. Can we also acknowledge this was in the Pelicans' home arena? It's not even like they were at the MSG, and the away team odds were against them. They were in their home arena. Make it make sense. I guess no one is safe in their home arena anymore, because this also happened just 2 days before, as the Chicago Bulls handed the Boston Celtics their 6th loss. But it was the last 5-ish minutes where Boston had 3 techs called on them, starting with coach Joe Mazzulla.
a whistle, but no call yet.
No, they got a jump ball.
Oh,
Who was that?
Joe Mazzulla.
Tatum misses the 3, Pritchard and Dosunmu go for the ball, then Jalen Brown steps in to help, and now Justin Van Dine stops the play. Joe Mazzulla tries to discuss the play, but Van Dine wastes no time on giving the tech. And that's not even the end of it. After this, as Pritchard and Dosunmu get ready for the jump ball,
No way. No way.
Jalen Brown gets called for a tech. Like, what is going on here? And then about 2 minutes later, Jayson Tatum ends up getting a tech, and Tony Brothers allows another free throw to Zach LaVine to make it a 10-point game. By the end of the game, Joe Mazzulla comes back to exchange words with Justin Van Dine, but Sam Cassell and Tony Dobbins hold him back and probably save him from something worse happening. Either way, this was just not a good game for the Celtics. Joe Mazzulla was fined $35,000 for aggressively pursuing and directing inappropriate language toward a game official. As for Jalen Brown, I swear these refs just abuse their power and defeat the purpose of actually reffing a game.
I said to him, you called a tech for no reason. He said, if you say it to me again, I'm gonna call another tech. You called a tech for no reason. Then he called a tech. Like, man, get out of here. You can't threaten guys with a technical foul. That's not part of the game either.
I mean, this was already a pretty emotional week on a personal level for Jalen. So I'd say this likely would have affected his emotions for the game, as his mother had a break-in at her house just the weekend before. So in this case, Jalen just didn't hold anything back on the refs. He knows what it's like to get fined. He was already fined $25,000 earlier in December after making an inappropriate gesture against the Pistons. But he made a good point with using the fine to help his argument.
Here's the thing, like, you know, you get fined. I got fined a couple weeks ago for like inadvertent gestures that, you know, I determined not a part of the game, which was fine. I took the fine. But like, what part of the game is like a ref, you know, calling an inadvertent technical foul?
Who wants to watch a game when refs are making calls just because they can? This is what leads us to the conversation on why viewership is down in the NBA. We know there are already a ton of inconsistent calls and also overly involved refs. And this isn't just on one team. Every fan from every team has seen this problem. So it's more of a league-wide issue. Obviously, the league is losing viewership with more than just bad refs, but that's another conversation for another time. What I'm curious about is how is it that coaches can get fined, but why can't refs? Is there not an abuse of power going on? They do a lot of post-game interviews on coaches. Well, why don't they do a post-game interview for the refs and let them get questioned? Maybe we'll get an answer on what was running through their heads when they made those calls. Obviously, that won't help the outcome of the game, but maybe it could hold refs accountable for their actions if it's recorded. Because at the end of the day, we want the players to just play the game and not let a call change the game, since there have been a lot of crucial games lost, all because of a lousy call.
Well, let me see where the officials are. I mean, how do you miss that? How do you miss that?
And while the Warriors felt this after their loss to the Houston Rockets in the NBA Cup quarterfinals.
Poked away, 5 seconds, but does Green have on the Warriors?
After Curry's attempt on this three-pointer, it turns into mayhem on the floor. And with 3.5 seconds left, Bill Kennedy calls a foul on Kuminga, and Steve Kerr's face says it all. Now, the outcome of this game went back and forth, so let us know what you think. A lot of people were not happy about this call. Steve Kerr added,
unconscionable. I don't even understand what just happened. You know, loose ball, diving on the floor, 80 feet from the basket, and you're going to give a guy 2 free throws to decide the game. when people are scrambling for the ball. Just give them a timeout. Give them a timeout and let the players decide the game. That's how you officiate.
Now on the flip side, the next day the NBA came out with a statement around this call where they determined that Jonathan Kuminga reaches over Jalen Green in an attempt to get to the ball and pulls his shoulder down was the correct call. Now, like I said, this could go either way, but if we're being honest, to let a game be decided by 2 free throws just sucks. I can't blame anyone for being upset about that call. But when Jenna Schroeder threw Drummond out of the game for this.
Interesting to see how Wembanyama handles this. A little bit of physicality, tripped up to the deck again, and they just threw.
This call had everyone up in flames. Like it's clear as day that Wemby flopped. Wemby is just out here trying to make everyone look bad. But after review, he got caught for flopping, and they brought Drummond back in the game.
He gets the three back in. Drummond's back in.
What's going on?
I think some of the fans are hoping he comes back.
Yep, he's putting his jersey back on. So I have officially seen something I'd never seen. Never seen a guy.
That almost never happens. So maybe there is a little bit of light in the change for refs. Now, ironically, the same ref that ejected Drummond ejected Embiid in the next quarter.
Embiid. Wembanyama trying to take the charge. What is going on?
Joel looking like he's about to throw hands at the ref, the same way Fred VanVleet wanted to when he was kicked out of the game.
Now Fred VanVleet was just thrown out of the game.
Again, in their home arena. Just before Fred was ejected, his last three-point attempt must have been the last straw for him. I mean, in both back-to-back matchups against the Blazers, he was 0 for 7 from 3.
I got one. Okay. He made me go for it.
So this was like walking on thin ice for Fred. On the last 9 seconds, he tried to make a 3 to tie the game, but felt like Kamara fouled him and nothing was called. Again, the refs not calling anything where it matters. And then this leads us to the ejection.
Yeah, it's not going to do it.
Where Fred just pushes Kamara clearly out of frustration, but it's a wrap from there. After this, Fred starts cussing all the refs out and pointing at them, which leads to his exit. The wild part was the next day. Courtney Kirkland was questioned by Houston Chronicle's Jonathan Feigen in a pool report interview regarding VanVleet's three-point attempt. Here's how it went according to NBA official. Question: in the last minute, there was no call on the attempted three-point field goal right before the technical foul. What was the ruling there where that contact didn't constitute a foul? Kirkland: in live action, we felt that the defender stayed directly on the path of VanVleet during his attempted motion toward the basket. After video review, we see the defender did close space and did make contact with the hip of VanVleet, and a foul should have been called. However, shots would not have been awarded on the play. Now to add a little more context to Fred's frustration. The Rockets were 9-3 up to this point during November. They won the first back-to-back game against the Blazers by 28, so it kind of felt like they had both of these games in the bag. The first game was already hard to deal with as Fred only put up 2 points in the 28 minutes he played that game. And then he walks into the next game putting up only 8 points, shooting 4 for 13 from the field, and 0 for 6 from 3. So you could imagine the frustration.
VanVleet moving well now, elbow J. Rockets come the other way. VanVleet, no. Picked up full court, VanVleet by Kamara, trying to draw the... Now Fred VanVleet was just thrown out of the game.